All right, welcome to the Rocket Launcher podcast. This is episode 67. I am your host, Supreme King, and join with me as always is my co-host. His name is.
It's your guy Mazes.
How you doing, man? How was your week? How was
It was
everything?
chill. Can't complain. How about you? How was your week going?
It was also cool. Some ratchetness here and there. That I told you about before. We'll probably talk about more later. But
Yeah.
other than that, man, cool day in gaming. It's probably be one of the shortest shows because I don't got too much to talk about. We're just gonna get right into a lot of stuff and then get back into some Remnant 2. Maybe we can address that real quick because I guess we said it was easy, and then at one point it just went from easy to a little bit difficult. Do you want
Yeah,
to
I definitely
elaborate on it?
remember saying the words like, "Yeah, the game feels a little bit easier and everything." Well, we got to like a real first boss. Like I would say, this is the real boss. And
Yeah, it was a few
oh
starter
boy,
bosses.
did,
Yeah,
did it take us some time to beat this thing?
yeah.
Uh,
We put about an hour and a half into it.
an hour and a half? Nah, bro, it was like 3.
Yeah, we see.
I ain't
It's
gonna
all
lie.
good though. It's all
Woo, that
good.
thing was tough.
It was I was a little rusty on the Souls games tip a little bit, but I'm getting back into it because it's different when you have a gun versus like a sword and shield or stuff because you don't really. It's hard to play defense with a gun in a way. I don't know. It's
Yeah, it's
because
harder to dodge at range for some of these attacks.
yeah, you have to because technically once I started playing more defensively, it didn't really be that hard for anybody who played Remnant 2. It was the Matrix one, the one where it looked like one of the Matrix things. Like you'll know what I'm talking about if y'all played it, because it literally looked like one of the Matrix machines that like was digging through in those movies. Like it was like we was talking off air about copyright. That was clearly also something that could have like raised some copyright, but whatever. But yeah, we was playing that. Still a good game. Still definitely recommend it. Definitely
Yeah.
recommend this co-op. First topic. I think we could probably jump back into PlayStation. PlayStation's topics is probably the most topics I have right now.
Okay.
Where they could probably just be all in one. We could keep it really brief for a lot of them too, because they're not really, that big of a thing. But yeah, the PlayStation topic that I have was just to add a little bit more detail going into like the hacks that they had. So it seems like the hacks are now exposing like 7,000 employees information. Like that's what we're hearing. So like people data is out there, I guess. I'm assuming that's like their name and their address, probably how much they make in the company, that kind of thing. um yeah, it's bad. I'm not gonna say it's not bad, it's bad. But I think they'll be okay because I think when they talk about ransom and stuff, they're really like, I don't know. It's still bad, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure PlayStation is not about to pay whatever it was. They still not going to do it. It's a little too late now. Um, yeah, but yeah, their information is out there. It kind of sucks for them, but I think the people as individuals, I think they should be okay. I don't think it's gonna be like some sort of like dark web story. Have you seen like any of those like YouTube videos where you talk about like, oh, somebody was messing around on the dark web and all of a sudden some person's messaging them, like threatening them and like, I got your address and blah blah blah. Like I don't
Yep.
think that's gonna happen to them like that, right? I think it's like technically you could look it up maybe, but I don't think anybody's going to visit them or stuff like
It
that.
does
But
to me suck that like in an effort to try and just get rich quick, you're like messing with innocent people. Like I don't know, it just feels like
yeah,
all those group of workers like they didn't do anything. Like they didn't
yeah.
really do anything, and now they're just suffering just because. Like that kind of sucks.
I think for anybody else, if you're still playing on the system in real time, I think I said this before last week. Just attach like either PayPal to it or I think you said you was using some of the cards that you would get in the stores, right?
Yep,
and
I
just
always get the PlayStation Plus like store cards and just add money to the wallet.
yeah. So maybe you just want to do it that way. But I don't think you have to worry about like your accounts being like hacked. I don't know. These leaks like have everybody's passwords to their account, but maybe if you really fearful of it, you could just change it. Um, it's public knowledge though, so PlayStation would have to work with you if something was happening. Like, there's no way, because it would be on a massive level. Like, if people was just all of a sudden not having access to their accounts and stuff, and they're buying these games digitally, PlayStation would not recover. But it like in real time, it seems like it's still business as usual if you're just playing on the system. I don't think it's the same degree as like in the PS3 era. Because like the PS3 era, when that happened, that almost took me off the system completely. Like I kind of just stopped. Like I remember I was like, I was actually scared that my data was being like put out there, even though I ain't had no money at the time. But yeah, I think it'll be okay. But yeah, unfortunately, people's information got out there. But they'll figure it out. They got to figure it out. Do you think it's gonna keep happening overall?
Yeah, because there's just bad people in the world. So I don't know if it'll constantly keep like it'll keep happening.
But you know what's interesting though? But nobody's paying it. Like if you notice, nobody paid nothing. Like
True,
I think
so
I don't know.
they'll have to. I don't know. So they'll have to attack somebody else. It's the same thing of like people still getting catfished and scammed, where it's like there are shows dedicated to it, and yet some people are still falling for it. Like the exact same thing. Hit everybody, but
Yeah,
eventually they'll get someone. So I wouldn't be surprised if this group that hacked Sony, they didn't hack other people too, and some people paid and some people didn't.
yeah. You know what's also interesting too? Like nobody's paying the ransom, but they're still doing this. But the other information that comes out from a lot of these stories is like games that are set to come out in the future, and it's technically news that helps the companies because now you're getting people hyped for these other games that they've been working on that was supposed to be a secret, and now everybody knows about them, right?
Yeah.
It's like, so technically, like you helped the company and you didn't get paid. Like now it's free marketing, and it's like a cost of some data here and there, but I really think that that's going to be fixed. And they're going to figure out something on the inside for all their employees and stuff. They kind of have to. Oh, yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like the PlayStation hacked. At some point, we'll hear about maybe some other games that's probably going to come out later on in the generation. But that creates hype to the fan base. Really, it doesn't hurt them. Like if you got like there's something, I guess I could mention it right now. There was like a piece of news that I didn't mention before, but I guess Elder Scrolls 6 is in development right now, like very early development. But like, let's say Bethesda was like hacked or whatever, right? And that comes out that way. That would have just generated hype. That wouldn't have hurt anything, Like, true. I don't think anybody, like when the hackers put out all the leaked footage of GTA 6, like that made people want GTA 6 more, and now they know it's actually real. It's like the game is going to be like the most sold game, period. Like, and it didn't hurt it at all, basically. I didn't actually write anything down for GTA 6. I guess I could mention it right now because I thought this was interesting. The development cost for GTA 6 apparently so far is $2 billion. That was mentioned. Yeah, and it's supposed to have over 300 missions or something like that. And it's supposed to be like 4 or 5 times the size, like the map is supposed to be 4 or 5 times the size of GTA 5, I guess. And so that thing's going to be a monster game. Yeah. And I think a lot of that information was hacked information, but that helps GTA. It helps the info. What were you going to say?
I also have news about PlayStation or Sony.
Okay.
That I can talk about now. So I gotta ask you though, if you were a play like the PlayStation Plus, let's say premium or extra, and you
Yeah.
got charged like it went up in price like $20 to $40, what would you want as part of your subscription?
I
What do you
mean,
feel like is worth
I
that increase?
was I was going there before basically day and date games. It didn't have to be all of them, but
That
like
makes sense.
yeah, I think we said that last week or the week before. I would say day and date games. But yeah, you did
Well,
some digging. You found some
I
stuff out. So what
found
happened?
out Sony didn't give you that, but what you do get is the ability to rent movies. So to better incentivize something that used to be called Bravia Core, which was in very few markets, but now it's been renamed Sony Picture Core.
Okay.
Uh, that app is now available for PS4 and PS5, and you get a rotating list of 200 free like movies to watch. But of
Free?
course, they're going to be older stuff because you also can rent up to 2,000 movies, including like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse or Uncharted, like Sony movies. You get to
Uh,
rent. You get to rent them, right? So you don't own those. You have to. They increase the price of the service, and then you can also rent for a movie. And certain movies, like the Gran Turismo movie that's coming out, uh, you'll get like early access to it. So before it would hit other streaming services, you can watch it early. But you got to pay.
was this
Uh,
announced? Or
yes,
when was this announced?
earlier this week. uh,
But
yep.
you
So the
you
better
increased the
incentive.
price on everybody, so like everybody got to do it. I wouldn't have even went that way. Like
Yep.
I would have just
So they increased the price to
watched.
everybody. So basically, the increase is to pay for like the movies, right? Because like they're giving you 200 movies, uh, for free, and they rotate out,
No.
and that's what you're paying. Like this is the first thing announced officially that you get. But matter of fact, with that price increase, because we mentioned this before, and we'll talk about it probably a bit more. But like, even if it wasn't day and date games, if it was like for all like games played on PlayStation, like the DLC
Hmm.
is free for like those games. So it's just like you're buying into the game, but then like when DLC comes out as a PlayStation Plus member, it's free to you and things
Now
like
that yeah,
that.
that's
Like,
something I would understand. Like if
and
you
I
could
think the
show you pay for a base game, but the PS Plus had like all DLCs was like a part of it or something like that. I could kind of understand that a little bit
I'll
better.
take it. I'll
Like if
understand the
like the
price increase.
DLCs was day and date to every game that you've already paid for because you have PS
Uh,
Plus. That makes sense.
I'd be
That sounds
definitely
like it would be way too expensive for them to do.
yeah.
But just as a player, the
Or
bottom line is just like you just trying to see the value,
yeah. Or what if the
basically.
first like for games that do like multiple DLCs, like a Destiny or things like that?
Yeah,
If like the first like expansion DLC ones for each game is always free,
yeah.
right? If you're playing on your PlayStation, so
But
like
the
things
problem
like
with
that would
that
be
is
free.
it would kill live services, and they're trying to push for live services.
True. You could always make it not apply to live services. Like specifically it'll be like for like Spider-Man, right? When they released the 3 story packs, the
Yeah,
first story pack was auto free. Uh Things like that. Or like the Xenoverse had a lot. But like different games like that. I don't know, something. But no, they were like you get movies. Something nobody asked for. Everybody got other streaming services. All this does now is either these movies are either probably on one of the streaming services I already have, or they're gonna
yeah,
be pulled conveniently from the streaming service I already have to be on here. Like it was crazy when I saw it said you can rent them. That was the thing that bothered me. Where it was like you charge me an extra $40, so I can pay an extra $3 to watch this movie.
yeah.
Like
It's like
what?
they're. I think it's so that they could pay for their infrastructure to host them or something. Maybe.
Yep. But they do have apparently for the free rotating list some of the I think animated Resident Evil and stuff like that. Is in there. They got some Final Fantasy movie, Final Fantasy what is it, 7, Advent Children, and Final Fantasy: The Spirit Within.
Here's my thing though.
Cuphead.
It should have been an option. They should have introduced a fourth tier. That's what they should
For
have
movie.
done.
Yeah.
Yes, it should not have been done like that because that still doesn't do nothing for me. That's not giving me any incentive to want to renew. To be honest,
No, yeah, no, not for
it
me.
doesn't do too much for me, unfortunately. I am considering like if I let it lapse to like turn it back on a monthly basis to like add certain things to the platform if it's cheaper that way. Or add to my profile, I should say. Add things to my profile if it's cheaper that way.
Yeah.
But as far as like buying a full year, I gotta see some sort of deal, some sort of Black Friday deal. I'm not paying you $80 for a year, unfortunately. At least for the, I did the base essential. As far as like a whole list of games, I think Game Pass has a better selection just because of the simple fact that it's day
Yep.
and date stuff. It's hard to beat day and date. But yeah. There's another point to this too. Within the PlayStation stuff, because we mentioned layoffs and we mentioned some stuff about like live services already and stuff in the past, but I think we talked about this last week, but we didn't really or there's just more news that came out. But basically, Naughty Dog, one of PlayStation's like top studios, I guess they had to lay off like 25 devs, and the Factions game is like indefinitely like on ice right now. Like they're just like, we got to figure it out. But the main thing is they have no confidence in the live service of Factions. They have no confidence whatsoever in that.
I'm okay with that. Them not having confidence in the live service.
Yeah,
I don't want any more live service games. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of ruining stuff. Whereas just here's this bare bones, and like pay us more, and we're also going to charge you full price. Like, to me, live service should not cost money. Like, it should be a free to
yeah.
play game. Then make it
But
live
that's the
service all
whole
you
point
want.
of it being
Free to
live
play.
service, right? So that it can cost you too much money.
Yeah.
I
But,
think
like,
at
it's
the
the
very
ones where they're
least,
like, pay us
their
for the base game, and here's some live service.
their goal, I think, like on average, is to somehow bring in more money than a full price game. That's got to be their goal. Because
But
if
then don't
not, then they have
start
to
at
just
full price.
yeah.
Like,
Then some of them
what
are
they
now starting to
started.
start that way. Yeah. Because I think Spider-Man is going to sneak it every here and there. I think we just don't know yet, but I think they're going to sneak some stuff there here and there. They kind of did with the suits, right? Didn't they do the suits? Was it like only a part
Yeah, it
of
was
the
the only
deluxe
part of the
thing?
digital part. But as long as
Yeah,
what they don't need is a pack afterwards. It's like, here's this new suit, but you can only get it in this short amount of time. Like, that would officially ruin the game, to be honest.
yeah. We'll see. So the second part to the Naughty Dog story, apparently there has been some news that came out, or at least some rumors, but it might be confirmed, or at least it might be confirmed within the next couple of months or something. But the rumor is the next remaster from PS4 to PS5 is going to be Last of Us 2. And
How different is it going to look?
I don't know how different it can look, because Last of Us 2 really still looked fantastic for a PS4 game, but it was already at the end of the generation, so it made sense for it to look fantastic. The PS4 version of Last of Us 2 is already running at 60 FPS on PS5. And then other than that, you already had like 4K support anyway for the game. And like I said, it still looked good enough. So I don't really know what else they're going to do with it. Maybe they can do the thing that they was doing with Last of Us Part 1, where they was messing with their eyes and stuff to make it look like a little bit more like more facial features, more expression. So right now it's just a rumor. We don't really know. I could imagine they might call it Last of Us Part 2 because they called the other one Part 1. And some people think that Factions is probably going to get packaged with this because they don't have any faith in Factions anymore. And like, it's possible that's the only way that you'll be able to get Factions is if you buy Last of Us Part 2 a second time or something like that. Almost like a Bowser's Fury kind of thing. Like the only way you get it is if you buy this game that you already own one more time. So that's a rumor. We don't know, but I think that
Wait, hold
sounds
on.
like
Super Mario
um
3D World was already out.
for Bowser's Fury. You've been
Yeah.
living under a rock, sir? Yes, I own it. That's not
Wait, said,
Wonder.
I never.
It's not.
Okay,
It's not
so
Wonder.
well, no, it was Super Mario.
3D World. Yeah,
When did 3D World come out?
3D World plus Bowser's Fury.
Yeah.
You're not serious right now.
No, I am. That's it. So here's the thing. Hold on. Hold on. Because maybe because I just haven't been buying Mario games like that because it was Odyssey. 3D World is not Odyssey, right?
Should I clip this? Should I clip this? I don't know.
Go ahead. Hold on. Like, so 3D World is not Odyssey, right?
No.
Right. Okay. So
All right,
they
we
released
lost the
Odyssey,
entire Nintendo fan
and then they
base.
released 3D World plus Bowser. So 3D World was like a remake of one of the older ones.
Yes, that was the Wii U game.
Oh, I thought you meant I thought you meant like it came out on Switch on its own.
All right,
And then
my
they re-released
co-host
it
is
up.
canceled by the
Never
Nintendo
mind.
diehards.
They keep re-giving out Wii U games. That's no different. I thought you meant like they released on Switch 3D World and then later released on Switch 3D World plus Bowser's Fury.
No. 3D World. So 3D World was a game designed for the Wii U, and we already know like the story with the Wii U. It didn't really do as good as the Wii, and the Switch kind of saved the brand, that kind of thing. But the game was stuck on the system all the way up until I want to say early 2021 at like I think it was either March or April. I bought the game like within the first day or two from Walmart. This was back when Walmart used to have the Nintendo games like $10 off. Like now only the older ones are $5 off, something like that. But they came out with the Bowser's Fury. They announced it at one of their directs and was like, here's the due date. And Bowser's Fury was an add-on to that game. And technically that's the only way you get to play Bowser's Fury, which was his own little thing that they added on that kind of made like it was just Mario in a 3D space, and then Bowser had like a whole new form and everything. And he was like basically a Titan, and then you become a cat Titan, or Mario gets the cat. It's a whole thing. But that came out in 2021, like in the first quarter or beginning of the second quarter.
I feel like it is a little bit different in making you re-get Wii U games only because most people didn't get a Wii. Like,
yeah, so like, what I was saying...
I get it though. I get what you're saying.
What I was saying is they was going to basically take... It's a rumor that they're going to take the PS4 game and say, here's the PS5 version, but this is the only way you get Factions, and actually put Factions back into it. Because Factions was not even in there, and it should have been in there. A lot of people feel like it should have been in there, and I kind of feel the same way. But they didn't do it that way. And so Factions, from what we also knew, it also was supposed to have its own story that was supposed to be separate with a whole new separate characters. It's not even supposed to have Ellie or Abby in there. At least that's what they said on that one stage a while back. But yeah, it's right now just on pause. I feel like it's the same situation as Suicide Squads, where it's like it's on pause and it's kind of just quiet right now. Like they might be quietly redoing the full game. Probably. And so Factions might be the same way. Where Factions, they don't really have to redo it. They just need to take the live service part out of it. Suicide Squads, you're gonna have to redo that whole thing. I just felt like they probably should just put it out and then just made another game, because it looked like they was done. They were extra confident. Yep. Yeah.
Release Suicide Squad and then release later the Suicide Squad.
Like this the real version. Like this, they could have easily just be like, this is the parody. Like just put the word parody on there, and that's all they could have called it today. But I think what they're doing on that is they're reworking the whole thing. I don't know how long it would take them to do it, But they got extra quiet on it, and that's it. I think they're
Well, it
really
took them
gonna.
years to make this, so I
Yeah,
don't think it's gonna be good. It's just not gonna be good.
they're gonna probably try to clone Avengers real quick, and then just go from there. That's the best I think that they could do. Is just clone Avengers. Shout out to Avengers, RIP to the digital version. But yeah. So yeah, this is the latest news for Naughty Dog. I think 25 devs is kind of crazy. That's very small. That's just like a nice little team. It was like you couldn't figure out like for all these other games because you still got to come up with this shooter. PlayStation, like they could have did that. Like I don't think you needed to lay them all off because Last of Us is still a third person shooter. You could have had them, work on a first person shooter. I don't think 25 dead. Like it's 25 people. It's like one small Zoom meeting. Like
Yeah.
you could have spared that. I don't know. That kind of sucks, but that's the news for them. I think the last piece of just PlayStation news before we can just move on. We're finding out that Horizon Forbidden West will have a complete edition that's going to come out early next year, and it's also going to include the DLC. I guess there's no extra DLC. I think it was just that one DLC that they released. We're finding out it's also going to come out on PlayStation 5 as well. Well, it's going to be on PC and PlayStation 5, I think day and date together, and it's going to be $60. Now, some might say that's probably good news or something. I look at it kind of slightly. I feel like if you played the first one, I almost feel like you should, or the first one. If you bought Horizon Forbidden West is what I'm trying to say, on PS5 for $70, they should get you that DLC for free. That's just how I feel like, but I don't know.
I guess the argument's going to be, so you paid 70 for it, and then you may have to pay like an extra, 20 for the DLC?
Yeah, I forgot what the price of it is, but yeah.
The 60 for the complete edition is like you didn't get to play it when it first released. I guess like you're also playing it late. I don't think.
But you know what? I gotta be a little.
That's what they're gonna say.
I gotta be a little transparent about it though. At the same time, Horizon Forbidden West, there was the whole debacle with Jim Ryan where he made it to where if you got the PS4 version, you got a free upgrade, and then he was like, "That's the last one" and everything, and it was like such a cringe moment in a way, because it let everybody know that you're really trying to nickel and dime everybody. But then there was a loophole that I found that I don't even think anybody else really talked about, where technically you could have got the game half off in a way, which I don't even know if, well, I'll say it. Basically the game, the PS4 version had the free upgrade, but it also had, it had 2 discs. It was a 2-disc version where I think the PS5 version was 1 disc for some reason. But for the PS4 version, it didn't matter which disc you put into the system to get the upgrade. You just need to put a disc in the system and then go to the store and get the upgrade. And so literally, you could have went half with somebody on that. And I waited until the perfect time when it was like a Black Friday time, basically, when all the games are really starting to get like cheap anyway. And Horizon was $30. I went half with somebody who shall not be mentioned, and it was $15 for both of us.
Why? Just what you to do with me? Like,
like I didn't know if you wanted to be. I don't know if you want to confess to this, man. Maybe this is one-on-one. This is why Jim Ryan was fired, man, because people was doing this, man, and they was messing with the money. I don't know, but yeah. And so technically we got the game for $15 each, technically. So should we really complain about this? Because we didn't really spend that much money. So I don't know. But I still feel like if you still paid for it, period, it's the principle of it, I guess. But then they will probably look back at you like, excuse me? You did what? By the time they figure it out, I mean, it's too late now. By the time they figure it out, what they gonna do? Release like some sort of patch? But I don't know. But yeah, so they're gonna have this this complete edition. And if you were someone who really did buy, let's say, that collector's edition, because this was one of the first ones to have that collector's edition where you didn't even get a physical copy, right? This was one of them that had that. I feel like I would feel some type of way. I paid all that money for that collector's edition and I didn't even get a physical copy of the game. And the next thing you know, everybody else gets the complete edition.
Yeah, true.
That's so it depends on how you look at it. It is, but it is what it is. That's the last bit of that news. Shout out to Zelda. If you want to avoid spoilers, this is the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom. If you don't want to see the opening segments, I apologize for putting it here. I literally did not have enough footage right away because I didn't have enough time to cut other footage, but you can fast forward 30 minutes because I think that's how long this is. We might not actually be here that long, but I just wanted to mention that just in case if somebody didn't get through it. But other than that, I guess we're kind of at the halfway point. So I just wanted to do the halfway point now a little bit early because the PlayStation news was actually the biggest news. Everything else is literally going to go by even quicker. So here's the halfway point. So the halfway point is usually where I give reference to Epic Games for giving out free games to the people. And shout out to Epic for still doing that. I don't actually have any more news regarding them laying off people. It just kind of sucks, but they did lay off a lot of people. However, they still have enough money to pay for some of these games to give it to us for free, I guess. So I don't know what's going on over there, but unofficial sponsor. Remember, you do not need a credit card when you create a profile. You just need to create a profile and then you get free games, right? The games that are free for this week, that's from it's actually just one, but it's from now until October 12th as of this recording. And that's the Godlike Burger. I mentioned before, I wish I had a Godlike Burger. This is, I don't know if it's a Burger King simulator or what, I don't know, but you're gonna get a Godlike Burger or you get the game Godlike Burger simulator. Probably. And so that's the only one that's for this week. And then from October 12th to October 19th, you get two different games, or it might be more than two here, but one of them is called Blazing Sails and the other one is Cube Ultimate Bundle. It's actually got, I don't know if it stands for something, but it's technically QUBE and they got a period in between, so it might be an acronym for something else, but it's the Ultimate Bundle, so I'm assuming it's a collection of some games. So yeah, look out for that under the Epic profile. And remember, if you don't have a PC, you just need to create a profile, and once you get a PC, because these are all PC games, or one of these handhelds, ROG Ally or the Steam Deck, once you go in there, you can just log into your profile and Steam, and all of your stuff is there, and then you could just have at it, right? Funny enough, I do want to mention, for anybody who follows the channel and actually watches all the way through, you might have heard of this story. I lost the Steam Deck. I actually found it, so it's no longer lost. Hey. It was under a couch pillow. It looked like it was deliberately put there. Maybe I did that a long time ago. I forgot. But I found it and found a whole bunch of charging cables and the dock and stuff. So I moved all that stuff into one of my gaming drawers next to a whole bunch of cases and stuff. So it's not really lost. And then I have it in its case and is next to the ROG Ally over here by me. So it is not lost anymore. It was not broken or anything. It was still safe in its case. It comes with a case, so there was no problem with it. So yeah. It's no longer lost. Um, I think this might be something else that we forgot to really go over, but I wanted to actually jump to another topic real quick. There technically is a third PC handheld now. That's like a high level PC handheld.
The
Um,
Lenovo one.
yes, Lenovo Legion Go,
Yeah,
and we haven't
we
really talked
mentioned it
about
off
it.
there, but we didn't talk about it on
Yeah.
here.
So to be honest, from the specs and everything I was seeing, it's up there with the Rogue Ally, but the difference here is that it's quite literally like mimicking the Switch.
Yeah, you
That's like
guys
its
know.
only thing that is known by really by the masses. That's a little bit different, but it has its own Joy-Cons, I guess. And other than that, it is $699.99, at least for the highest model. I don't know if it's more than one model, but that was the price that I saw. And so yeah, there's a third system. How you feel about there being just so many of these PC handhelds now?
I don't think we need this many. Like, I feel like the market's getting oversaturated. Like, I don't know why.
Very
I guess.
oversaturated.
Well,
Yes.
what is kind of cool is if somebody's more of a brand loyalist in
Yeah.
the PC world. Like, Lenovo is a good brand. Asus is a good brand. Like, if you're a loyalist to, you get to keep all of your electronics, like, under
Yeah.
one brand name. But I don't see the need. Like, I understand Steam Deck and I understand the Rogue Ally because, like, not everything needs to be under Steam, right? So it was like,
Right.
well, here's one that's generally for everybody. I don't know why Lenovo made one, unless
Yeah.
it's like, do you really miss the use of Joy-Cons? Well,
It's crazy too, because with this one, it screams Nintendo piracy.
yeah,
Like the other one, like the Switch or no, the Steam Deck, if I remember correctly, like it was more to stick it to Nintendo a little bit because of the OLED or lack of a Switch Pro, basically, right?
yeah,
And it was just kind of a thing at first, but then once people was getting it, they was really just enjoying the high level third party games on the go. It was more about that than it was about just using Nintendo. You still had your people, especially like there was a lot of these videos from even like really high profile channels where they were showing you basically how to do it. And it's funny we talking about this while there's Switch footage on the screen, right? But like after a while, like with the ROG Ally, its gimmick was just it's a little bit more powerful than the Steam Deck. And then some of the applications are straightforward. You don't have to go and do no backhanded thing in order to play on there, right? Like with Game Pass and with the Epic Game Store. With the Steam Deck, even though it's not really said out loud, they still want you to be more about Steam, basically. Like you have to really tinker with it and stuff to like get it to a desktop form and like really pay attention to all the other stuff. Like it's really quite literally like here's our Steam OS, where you could tell with like the ROG Ally is like, no, here's Windows 11 and go do whatever you want. But now we have this Lenovo device where it's like its only other gimmick is that it has Joy-Cons really. Like it has a nice screen and all the other stuff, but it's like everything has a nice screen at this point. It's like it really just is. It's another Switch, I guess. So, I was gonna make a solo vid about this. I don't know if I'm still gonna do it, but I've said this so many times. Like literally, the Switch 2 has to be on the same level as these handhelds, and it's gotta by default. It needs to be better than the Steam Deck. Because the Steam Deck has the biggest profile, right? So it has to quite literally jump over it. Just like Mario jumps over stuff, right?
I don't think it will.
You don't think it's going to do it? They got to. There's no way.
Got to. I don't think they will.
Will the Switch 2 be better than this Lenovo thing? Because if it's not, it's doomed. Literally.
I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. I think it's going to put out like 1080 naturally. That's it.
Because I don't have the full specs of this, but I just feel like it has to at least match it. Because if not, they're going to have the piracy thing still running rapid. Because that's the whole thing. If the Switch is not going to be more on its performance, Like anybody who looks at Switch as being secondary, they're going to play all their stuff on these things. Even though some of these things are like highly powered, like the Steam Deck is going to be cheaper, right? Or the Steam Deck is going to like go down in price is what I mean. It's going to go down to the $400 range, probably for the highest model at some point. I think that's going to happen next year. But I don't know. The Switch can't do 30 FPS at all. Like, they are doomed if they do that. I don't know, bro. I don't know.
We'll see, but I think that's what they're gonna do.
They can't keep putting out systems where it's last gen. Well, by default, it's a last gen system. They can't keep doing that. I don't know, but as far as having a third PC handheld, I am not gonna do it. I think it really at that point is very overkill. That's kind of, I'm still more leaning towards trying to get a nice proper tower, because I don't have a proper tower. I have like a laptop, but yeah, I think a third one might be too much for me. I think I talked to somebody else and asked them, somebody else that I know who has both the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally. He said no as well. I think this might be a gimmick for anybody who, I don't know who this one is for. I think this one is almost like, it reminds me of the Logitech device when we were saying who is this for. Funny enough, that wasn't really on the agenda, but I'll mention it right now. The Logitech device is trying to compete. Before, they launched at like 200 or 250 or something, but its retail price was supposed to be 300 to try to get people to buy it real quick. But now I think this has something to do with the PlayStation Portable. That's supposed to come out in November 15th, but that's priced at 200, right? And that Logitech device is quite literally doing the same thing. All it is a streaming device. Well, they just cut their price. That thing is now $150. So if you really want a streaming only device that does streaming on both the Xbox, PlayStation side, and PC, and you still want to load and do emulation on your own, that device might be the way to go, because I'm pretty sure PlayStation is going to have some sort of like fail safe or something where they're blocking Xbox. So but yeah, they cut their price in half. That thing is $150 now. It has like not really that much steam anymore, no pun intended. It's like that's kind of it. But it goes to this Lenovo thing where it's like the market's a little oversaturated. Like, I couldn't see myself just buying all these handhelds. It's like at some point it's like, man, you know. But yeah, so that one's $150. The PlayStation Portable is $200. The lowest Steam Deck model I think is $400. The highest was like $650. But it often goes on sale, because when I got mine, it was when it went on sale to be like $520 or something. And then there's two Rogue Ally devices, but I think everybody who's buying in is only going to get the highest model, which was $699. Yeah. And then there's this Lenovo device, which is also $699, but they're kind of overkill. It is kind of an overkill. I think it's still probably cheaper in like on paper, I guess, if you don't have a PC at all and you're more of a console player and you want to still have something that's a little bit of a, I guess, a hybrid in a way, or something you could take and hook to your TV or something. Maybe you might consider this one, or maybe it's just kind of like, now it comes down to like, you have to really think about what you want at this point, because it's starting to become way oversaturated. I'm almost certain somebody else is going to throw their name in the hat next year. And then it's just, here's another device, here's another device. And then it might get to the point where it's so many devices that it becomes the new laptop for gamers, maybe. Because, you know, if we jump to laptops, there's like, you know, laptops everywhere that are all PCs, right? Or PC gaming. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna get worse as far as saturation. The problem though that I have, or I think is more of a Nintendo problem, is just by default all of them plays Nintendo games. It's illegal, sure, I guess, but by default they're all playing the Nintendo games, and so Nintendo should make sure that their device is matching them in specs, but price is somehow still lower than 700, which they're definitely going to make sure the system is lower than 700, but the specs got to match a little bit. Because the second that they do, ain't nobody gonna look at none of these devices unless they just really want a PC device. You know what I'm saying? But as long as they don't, I mean, they're still gonna have the piracy situation, like with Tears of the Kingdom, which is on screen, where people was playing Tears of the Kingdom on the other devices up to 3 weeks before it came out. You know, and that was kind of bad. But you know, a PC gamer is going to do that regardless. There's almost nothing they can do.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about the piracy stuff. You just really have to make your system seem convenient and appealing for those that don't feel like going through the hassle, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't want to go through the hassle of having to find the game, find a good download it, keep up with updates, and like all the little things that go involved with downloading like a copy, and stuff like that. You have to make yours feel like, well, I mean, you could go through all this, or you could just here, and it's like, well, then I'd rather just get it there, right?
Yeah.
So you just have to make it feel appealing enough to do.
Right. So we'll see. I still want to support Nintendo the right way, even though I criticize their stuff heavily. I still wouldn't mind being an ambassador. I think we talked about that a while back, because I met one. The Nintendo game Super Mario Wonder is coming out in 13 days as of this recording. 12 days once this comes out, but I plan on buying that. I don't want to like put it on any of the other devices, right? I want to buy that. I do want to buy, as weird as it might seem, I don't mind buying that Peach game, the one where she's like all these other people now.
Yeah, it looks fun.
Yeah, but I'm gonna use my little $5 thing from GameStop to buy Super Mario Wonder, plus some of my other back end discounts to really cut it down. I do plan on supporting them with that, and I would like to support Nintendo. I don't like when Nintendo does this thing where they try to ruin people's lives and stuff. I think it's kind of goofy. I think it's also interesting because we heard about Nintendo trying to cease and desist Steam from having the Dolphin emulator on their system, where now like you could still have the emulator on there if you go put it on there yourself. It just wasn't going to be in Steam, and then you could still do it on the Ally, and I'm pretty sure you can do it on the Lenovo. But I wonder, like, could Nintendo, you know, they'll try it, but could they cease and desist like every like device if they tried to put out tutorials or something? Only Steam was doing it. Like Steam was the one who was poking the bear. They was doing like all these little they had trailers where they uploaded a trailer and then re-uploaded another trailer like immediately, and took the first one down, where the first trailer had the Yuzu emulator in there, with the Yuzu emulator is literally the Switch emulator. And it was like, people said that was done on purpose, because it was like they uploaded it and then took it down and re-uploaded the right one in like 5 minutes or something. And so like there was a whole bunch of that going on. But anyways,
yeah, might be able to fix and desist. I don't know. I think if you're showing off things that blatantly go steal from this company, you can like, attack them for advertising it. But I think it's like, if the company hints that you can do it, you can't do anything about it. It's just showing that emulator kind of directly was like, hey, get this thing and steal from the right. Where if you just go, they're capable of emulation. They can't do anything about that.
Yeah. It reminds me of when computers had the ability, like the old beige computers. Like you could get them, and they had the ability to like write CDs and write DVDs. But then copying any CD or DVD was considered illegal. It
Right.
was like, well,
So
what are you copying? like,
all they can say is so South, for example, South Park made a joke about this
yeah,
to the point of like not necessarily that, but it was a whole I've been binging South Park as background noise
sure.
when I'm working. And there was a whole thing with like a troll, like dude trolling people online. So they were gonna release this program where if you look up the person and put their personal info in, it'll show you all of their online activity. And they were like, well, what do you do? Like, how do you like using this to spy on others or find out addresses? And the person goes, "Oh, that's right," and looks at the camera and goes, "Troll like trace is not for personal use." All right, there. That was their way of putting it, where it was like clearly that's what it's gonna be used for, but all they said is it's not for that, and then they're covered. They're good as a company. We told you don't do that, right? It's the same thing of like you can argue that WWE like or any sort of wrestling pushes for like kids to like do this stuff. But as
Hmm.
long as they put their little warning on the front that just said it's not like don't do this at home, they're not liable for it. They're good. We told you not to. You didn't listen. Like it's not
or
our fault. You didn't listen to do it.
are you over 18? Yes or no for some of those sites you ain't supposed to be on. Are you over
Yeah. And
18? It's like
are
you
you
just
over
click
18?
yes.
Yeah.
you
And
clearly
it's like
not.
you lied. It was the same thing. I think Pokemon Go did it, where it was like,
That's
"Hey,
funny.
are you driving?" Like while you're playing because you might be moving too fast. So it's like, are you driving? And you can just click yes or no. Right now, they're no longer liable if you get into an accident because you said you were driving.
That's funny. It's funny because I think we actually might actually have an hour and a half episode when I thought we wasn't.
Hey,
But last piece of news I guess I could put onto this that it's not really connected to Lenovo, but we've been talking Nintendo with it. Um, I do think I'm still gonna do a solo vid on this kind of stuff. I know I've been saying I'm gonna do solo vids on all this, but another rumor. So this might be considered a good rumor, but it was rumored that there will be a new 3D Super Mario game that will be, I guess, announced in 2024.
oh shoot,
And
I won't
uh,
get confused about that one.
yeah, I think this one is supposed to be open world. I think that's what they said. So I'm just gonna rope that in with the other part of the news. But at the same time, I think it goes with the Switch 2 that might be announced next year, which kind of makes sense. Like, of course, they're probably gonna have a high profile game to sell the system with.
Uh,
And how much higher could it be? You know, Mario, right? If Tears of the Kingdom came out the year before, and then quite literally this holiday season and going forward into the beginning of the year, they had like a bunch of Mario games, right? They're doing a remaster of Luigi's Mansion 2, the Peach game, Mario Wonder, Mario RPG. So it's like, of course, you're going to save the big one for the Switch 2 release if you're going to come out with all of these. Because if you wasn't, then you would have held one of them back, right? Like you wouldn't have announced all of
right.
them. That's what I think. It's just kind of common sense. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like if they're going to release this system next year, it's going to come with this anyway. I'm saying it now, but I'm going to still make a solo vid where I probably literally say the same thing. But yeah, I saw an article. I took the screenshot. I might show the screenshot on the solo vid, but it basically mentioned this. So I think that's kind of cool. Yeah, so we're gonna be looking forward to that. I probably will buy that new Switch and the game day one if I can. I don't think I would well, yeah, you would have to pre-order with this kind of
You
thing.
got to pre-order, yeah.
You would have to. So yeah, that's what I would do.
I'm gonna
Uh
wait. Well, I don't plan on getting one right away. If
okay.
they do release the Switch 2, The reason being is I've been kind of tracking how little, I guess, I've been playing my Switch.
Right.
Uh, and I still have a lot of games on there that I still need to finish anyways, but I just haven't been playing it as much as I should have been. Uh,
Yeah.
to the point where I still haven't even like I gotta restart Breath. Like I didn't make it that far in, so I'm not like losing a bunch of stuff. But I don't remember controls. I don't remember where I'm at. Like I don't remember what I'm doing. So it's just I'm just gonna restart it. But it's just I haven't been playing it as much as I should have been. So there's no reason for me to rush to get Switch 2. Because all the games I'm playing outside of Pokemon have been optimized, I guess, for the way the Switch is now.
You also
So there's no
mentioned to
reason.
me before that you would always want one of those like specialty systems, and you never really
That
get it
too.
because you rush. Maybe
Yep.
you can wait
So
for a special Switch system, I
that would
guess.
be solid. Like whatever new next gen Pokemon game that does come out for it, that would be the one where I get the special edition
They got some
Switch 2.
cool special edition Switch systems that was coming out late now. Like
Yeah,
they got the all red one for the Mario, and then they had. I thought the Tears of the Kingdom one was really nice looking. It was like gold or whatever, like gold and beige. Like I
yeah,
thought that one was really nice looking. Then they had the Animal Crossing one for the regular Switch that everybody liked. And then they did do the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet one. I thought that one looked good
yeah.
too.
That orange purple. So
Yeah.
I think I will do that. I think I'm gonna wait for like a special edition since I always miss out because I knew I wasn't just gonna get it right away. But yeah, I think that's what I'll do.
I don't know if I would really need to wait, but it's really the system that you have to worry about. You wouldn't have to worry too much about the game. But I remember like the story was people couldn't get the Switch, but they were still buying Breath of the Wild the game
Yeah,
more than they were buying Horizon Zero Dawn, which they had a system to play it on. And that's what
yep,
killed Zero Dawn early on. But then Tears of the Kingdom kind of like oversaturated or not Tears of the Kingdom, it was Elden Ring. Elden Ring kind of killed Horizon Forbidden West, so Horizon couldn't catch a break.
So it turns out when the Switch did first come out,
Yeah.
I actually was able to get one. I did have to. It wasn't a scalper
Hmm.
person. What it was a mom and pop shop who like based out in New York. And then I looked the place up because I didn't want to buy from a scalper, but I wanted one. And
Yeah.
basically, it was for the price. I think it was like an extra $20, but then also shipping
Yeah.
cost. So it was free shipping, but an extra 20 or 30 bucks. But when I looked up the company, it was through eBay. But it was it was a mom and pop electronics store based out of New York. Uh, that was just like all right, like like it was sold out of all the GameStops. I wanted one, and they just had it. So I was like, sure, why not? So that I was able to get one then, but it looked like they had like a bunch because they're a normal electronics store. They were just selling them. So it wasn't like on some like $300 extra scalper prices. Basically, like pay for shipping.
Yeah. I got mine in the Target. I think it was just a little bit more ready and available. It was like 2 or 3 months later. I remember just getting in
Oh
the
yeah,
Target
I was like
along.
3 days.
Yeah, I got the other Mario with it, and the person was trying to tell me to get Breath of the Wild with it, and I didn't. But ended up getting Breath of the Wild a little bit later. But yeah, so yeah, I think we could probably rope some of these other ones in there with the Switch news because apparently, so Hogwarts Legacy is finally gonna come to the Switch on November
Finally,
14th. So they took a really long time, but they're
bro, the
gonna get
game
that
came out in
version.
February, and they're finally gonna get. I don't know. I feel like unless this is your only console, like don't get it on the Switch. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just it's because it's gonna be so run down. Like it took them an extra month to lower the specs enough for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And it's like it took them this much time to get it to all right, now it works on the Switch. Like I don't this is not the system to get it on.
yeah, definitely isn't. But some people really. There was this one person who plays the Switch as her primary console. Somebody I don't really know, but I think she was a YouTuber. But I remember her explanation for not having. She didn't like PlayStation or Xbox. She is 100% pro Switch. But one of her explanations was interesting. It was because she says the Switch version of a game is where she truly feels like she owns the game.
I
Because
mean,
the other games have DLCs, but then this was before they start having cloud versions though. Now they start to have a bunch of cloud versions. So I don't know if he was gonna go there. But
oh, I
yeah.
was about to say before, like the cloud version stuff. Once you own that cartridge, you own that cartridge, and you can put it on other Switches and still own that card. Like there wasn't that issue. Uh,
Yeah.
there is that sense of ownership stuff. Like I get that, but
Yeah. So there are some people out there who's just like, no, it has to be the Switch. So it is what it is. It depends on however you want a game. Game however you want a game. It quite literally you can do whatever you want now. It just seems like any way you want to go, you can really just do whatever you want. But
I can also see it in terms of like if people don't have like unlimited amount of time
yeah.
and they know they enjoy the games that come out on Nintendo, like they're gonna enjoy the Mario platformer, they're gonna enjoy the game, they're gonna enjoy like RPGs like Fire Emblem and things like that. Maybe it is best for them to just only have a Switch, right? Because it's just they don't have to keep up with like it was like online isn't necessarily required for Switch, right?
Hmm.
But like if you want to play like a lot of the games on PlayStation required like online, so you're gonna need PlayStation Plus, or you have to have do you have to do the subscription for Xbox?
For online, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So things like that where uh a lot of the Nintendo Switch games, like they can connect online for whatever they need, but like you're not really playing with other people for the most part. So it's not like a need to have online. And if
Right.
you think about the cost of it, Nintendo Switch Online is $3 a month, as
Okay.
opposed to like some of
And
these other.
so only when you buy it all in one is $50 or something like that. Because I think it was $20 for. I never paid attention to a monthly cost. I didn't even know about it. I thought it
Oh
was just
yeah,
you paid
so
20 and then you paid 50. But so they have a
20 for
monthly
the
version.
year. Yep, 20 for the year, 50 for the year if you want the super one, or for the monthly cost it's $3.
Okay. So it does
Which
kind of make
you
more sense for
save
the
like
20. Yeah.
yeah, because then you save like $16 like at the
Yeah.
end of the year, unless for some reason if I mean then you shouldn't really be buying it, but like if you like really ain't got a $20 lump sum, then it's easier
Yeah.
for you to just not notice $3 missing each month. But also,
The one thing
I
about
don't know the
Nintendo's like
full one.
the one thing about Nintendo's like online services when they drip feed some of the older systems, I really think that they should stop doing that
Yeah,
because in real life, like it's very transparent, but so many of these devices give you the full access of all that stuff and the license stuff by day one. Like, yeah, it's not the like official version, but like at the same time, it's also been shown how Nintendo was using the like emulated versions of these games as well. It's just you only been paying them directly because they are Nintendo, but they quite literally was doing the same thing some of these PC people was doing anyway. When
yeah.
they looked up the code. But I think they should have all that Game Boy Advance stuff, Super Nintendo, all of that should be on there day one. It should not be drip feed like, oh, this month we add like three games or stuff. It's like, what are you
Yeah.
doing?
But also, I was going to mention when you mentioned that the person said when they buy a Nintendo Switch game, it's like it's the complete edition. It's not like, hey, there's DLC coming later.
Yeah,
Well, it used to be that way, right? But now
yeah,
Pokemon gets DLC. Did Breath of the Wild have DLC? The
yeah.
bike.
Breath of the Wild did have some DLC. I think the one that really
Mario
goes
Kart.
against that statement now is Mario Kart 8. Like
Yeah,
they have it was looked like they was announcing a DLC pack every 2-3
yeah,
months at a direct, right? Now they're
Yeah.
saying that's the last one, which also makes me, for future references of the videos, it was making me think that they were ready for a Mario Kart 9 as well. That's probably going to also sell the next system. Because they've been using Mario Kart to sell like all of their bundles. Like that's been their bundle thing every year. Is nothing new. It's just like that's what it is. And so
I will argue though that it's like out of sometimes certain bundles they'll be like you can get this and here's a game you don't want, but that's in the bundle. Whereas I've never heard anyone just really just be like, God, I'm never gonna play Mario Kart. Like,
right,
it's Mario Kart. Like people are just gonna play Mario Kart.
yeah.
In terms of a bundle, it's not that bad. I've heard worse, but
It's just not
most
exciting.
games-
That's all. It
Yeah.
doesn't make you excited to buy it. So anybody else who was
most
looking,
Switch games. Oh, go
like
ahead,
it
go ahead.
doesn't give anybody who already owns it the incentive to buy another one.
True.
Where like with other systems, even if you owned it, you still would want to buy like another one if you really liked it or something like that.
Yeah.
So like the specialty systems.
Yeah, get a special edition, but you get another copy of Mario Kart.
Yeah.
But for most Switch games, a lot of them did come just complete. So I can't understand that logic.
I think I'll wrap this segment up with one other thing that's a part of, I don't know if it's really a Switch thing, but speaking of owning games, this is interesting. Evil Dead, this is actually weeks old news. Stuff that I forgot to just like put on paper, but I took screenshots of. But the game Evil Dead, it kind of came out, it kind of flopped a little bit, but apparently the developers or whatever has just decided they're not going to update it anymore. It's not going to have any more content. And then they also decided to just cancel the Switch version. Just like that. Just boom. Because we already know, because of the Switch's hardware, it takes development. Yeah, development takes a lot longer to make a Switch version. That's why you see like Hogwarts Legacy 1 come out at the end of the year instead of the beginning. But this game, they just said, we're not putting out a Switch version and we're not updating the content anymore. Y'all ain't paying for it, I guess. I don't know. So it comes back to the situation we've been talking about for a long time. Like, what is going on with the industry? Because the industry is moving like they on life support in certain areas. I don't know. But I think this was a PS Plus game at some point. Either that or it was on Epic. But I know I own it somehow. And I didn't buy it. But yeah, no Switch version. So I don't know if a Switch player is really looking for this type of game. This doesn't really scream like this is a Switch kind of game. But yeah, there's no Switch version. So yeah, do you have
I
any?
feel like it's messed up to promise a version and then cancel it. Like if it was never announced. Like, I would rather them do that. If you know you're not going to release in time, right? I don't think there's that many games for people who have like multiple, right? Like it'll be like the people who just have a Switch, and it's like, surprise, this is now released on the Switch, and you're like, cool. But if it never comes out, you didn't know, so it doesn't bother you. Anybody who has multiple systems, I don't think there's that many games where you're going to be like, oh dang, if I knew they were going to release a Switch version, I would have waited. Like, I don't think that happens for, like, a game.
It does kind of suck that the main reason for this is because of the game's performance on the other systems that had nothing to do with the Switch to begin with. It's not even fair to the Switch. So, but it's a very niche crowd that would complain about this, you know. It's almost no crowd at all. I don't think anybody's... They just kind of announced it, and I don't think there's enough people that cares. But... for that one person who really was the diehard Switch player, you just will not get this game on your system, apparently. But I don't think they hurting. These people about to get like all kinds of Mario games. I don't think they worry too much about this, which is kind of funny. It's just sad that these kind of things are happening, because in other generations, we didn't have this problem. You just went and got a game on every system that it was going to be on.
Yep.
But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. I guess I can also mention, because this is just like a lot of quick news in this segment. we mentioned all these other systems that play Switch games. There's a system that I have that plays a lot of their old school games that was called the Mayu Mini. This was like the little Game Boy device. Well, apparently they bought, like, the one that I have is called Mayu Mini Plus. Apparently they bought back the original Mayu Mini, which was like really small, the size of like your wallet or something. Like, really, it could really fit in your pocket without really noticing it, right next to your wallet is what I meant. Well, they got a new version of this, so it's called Mayu Mini version 4, and they have like a orange color. People were saying it was yellow. I'm like, this is clearly orange, but maybe I'm colorblind or something. But basically, you can get one if you were a fan of like Pokemon, the yellow Pokemon. Like, I remember back in the day, people was really getting that yellow Game Boy because of that, and playing the Pokemon Yellow on that. Well, it really looks like that. It looks like the Pokemon Yellow Game Boy. So maybe there's some nostalgia there, but it came back with that color, the orange color, and then it had like some of the other colors that it already, like, the other versions had. I have the Mayu Mini Plus that's a black one. That's kind of like transparent, but for anybody who's still into it, the orange one is out there. Maybe you might have to deal with scalpers right now, but I'm pretty sure you'll be able to get that with no problem this holiday season when they have like more availability. But I'm just saying, it's out there. Other quick news. Apparently one of the games that I have been following, that's one of the indie games that I talk about. I don't know how indie this one is, but it looks like it was supposed to be a bigger game, but the game called Banisher's Ghost of New Eden. I don't know if you remember that one. That has been delayed until this upcoming February. They didn't put a hard date, but it's been delayed to February. It's supposed to come out this year. It's going out in February, I guess. So I don't think too many people was worried about that because it was still a new title, but it was like more of like a vampire-ish title. It has some storyline like that, and you're playing third person, and it has really good graphics. It doesn't really look like an indie title, but it's delayed till February, so you gotta wait till February to play it. Yeah, so that's quick bad news. Quick good news, another thing that we didn't mention that was probably something that I had wrote down a while back. The game Stray is supposed to be getting an animated movie. So that's gonna happen at some point. I don't know how you do that. I didn't play the game, but he didn't speak, right? He wasn't Garfield. Like, he didn't talk.
He gets it. There's a robot companion that you get right away.
Okay.
Relatively right away. That's what.
Okay.
Basically. Like, it talks to you, and then you just do cat stuff.
Okay. So I don't know how they're gonna work that out, but at least it's gonna get an animated movie, and they'll figure that out. Yeah, and so that's the quick news. Let me just look through this. There's something quick I can mention for Xbox. So for Xbox, what we're finding out is, even with the FTC trying to scramble to have like some sort of thing to stop them doing the Activision deal, they are saying, I don't know how true it is, we'll see, but they're saying that this deal should still be finalized this month, like almost as early as a week from now. The Activision Blizzard deal with Call of Duty and everything else underneath it, that should be actually done now. Like, they're to the point where they actually put a date out. They were saying October 13th, which is very right around the corner. So we'll see, maybe just after that, because I think that's a Friday too. This October, so that's a horror movie thing, right? I gotta watch a horror movie that day. Maybe it's a horror movie for PlayStation. I don't know. But the Activision deal should be done by then, and the next day we'll record. Maybe we'll talk about it, I guess. And so, yeah, that's a thing. I don't know. I haven't been following this too much because I feel like we talked about it way too long. But I don't know what the FTC was doing, but they were trying to come up with another way to come at this deal and go to court and prolong it. Because that was what was mentioned, like, I guess 2 weeks ago. And apparently it looks like this is still set to finish. Now, what we do know is that they did kind of push it back 1 month last month for whatever reason. I think it still had to do with the FTC, but it looks like it's pretty much the ink is almost dry. The cool thing about it is that will probably mean that almost every Call of Duty game can be resurrected and put on Game Pass, so you could just run through campaigns, like campaign after campaign, and that'll be pretty cool.
And also be a good way for people who really want to jump into, not just like go to the multiplayer and just get destroyed. Like you get some practice in.
Yeah, I wonder if they could, if Xbox could do their little like FPS boosts to some of the older ones, the ones that were like that really put Call of Duty on the map from the 360 era, and like really like do texture updates and stuff to some of those, and really make it look nice and almost modern. That would be pretty huge for them. So I'm just happy that it's probably going to be finally over. I do not want to keep talking about that. But another thing that I found out that's pretty cool is the MetaQuest, MetaQuest 3 by, the owner who I should not mention his name. MetaQuest 3 is set to come out, and apparently they
you keep saying who I shall not mention.
No. But at least the system we can appreciate within gaming. We did mention this though before, that MetaQuest 2 went back to its original price. Did we mention that? I think we mentioned that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, because it went up for $100 last holiday season, and now it's back to its regular price. Well, mainly it's because the third one's coming out, but apparently it will support Game Pass, which I thought was interesting. And so any game that has some sort of VR support that's in Game Pass, if you have Game Pass and then you have the MetaQuest, you could play the VR game, or you could play it in a VR setting, I guess, on the MetaQuest, which technically, somebody who just have Game Pass can't do. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I think that might open the door for Xbox to sort of catch up when it comes to the VR experience, because then they could just like partner with MetaQuest, and you could have some VR games coming out that way instead of them trying to go through the development of like buying or making their own headset.
But also, it might even work out even better, because one of the big things is it's a big investment to pay and to buy the equipment and buy the games, where at least now you would just buy the equipment.
Yeah.
And the games are just on Game Pass.
Right? Yeah, so and I think one of the things from the VR crowd that people like about the MetaQuest over like PlayStation VR 2 is the MetaQuest is completely wireless, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. You don't have to, like, you would not have to turn this on and somehow connect it to the Series X or Series S, right, basically. And so
I end up winning the VR game because of this.
Yeah, that might be a big deal. So we'll see how that develops, because maybe you might see like VR versions of some Xbox first party games come out. I think an interesting one would be Hellblade 2, because with Hellblade, one of the things about what's her name? I forgot her name, but she had voices and stuff talking to her in her head. She was supposed to be kind of like cuckoo a little bit. like as she was like going through her adventure, and it's like, kind of, demonic in a way. Right. And then we kind of saw that in Hellblade 2 too, where she's like more in her thing now and more stronger in her way, with some of the gameplay and stuff they were showing. But the big thing there was like all the talking in your head. And maybe if they did like a VR version, they could really amplify that. You know what I mean? For anybody who's into that. But yeah, so we'll see how they do. maybe even with like Forza, if you were playing where you're inside of the car itself, you could probably make it look like you're really in the car. So that would be kind of cool too. So we'll see how they develop with that going forward. I'm out of topics except for one that I think is going to be very interesting, but maybe you want to do your topic real quick, because I think you might want to talk about Power Rangers real quick. You want to just say something real quick about the show?
Yeah. So I watched all 10 episodes of Cosmic Fury yesterday.
All right.
So it was good. Like, so I wanted to just give the impressions, like, without spoiling anything. It was good. The suits, they're a little weird, but they're not like, they don't ruin anything. The storyline seemed fine. It did wrap up a bunch while leaving certain things open. And if this like is the end, because like everybody's like, this is the end of Power Rangers and everything.
Yeah.
It was good. Good ending. I don't think it's over.
Okay.
And of course, with the news that trying to reboot Power Rangers, I don't think it's going to be a hardcore reboot. I think it's going to be more like Once and Always. And
Okay.
what the Cosmic Fury ending is kind of clear why it'll tie into that. It was a nice shout out to some of the older, like other Rangers as well.
Okay.
But it was overall good series. I wasn't the biggest fan of how it wrapped up. The main villain. I thought that could have been done a little more epically. It was kind of with everything that was like leading up to it. But as a whole, I think it was a very good series, and I do like the direction of them being able to do with this being the first season where they really got to do their own without having to use any of at least the Ranger footage from Super Sentai, right? The Zord footage was Super Sentai, but not the Ranger footage. I think it worked out great. And them being able to do their own story, I think was great as well.
All right, so just to remind the people, this is on Netflix. They can go if they have a Netflix subscription. They're not sharing it, or maybe I think they can share it now.
No, you gotta pay to share it.
Yeah, you gotta pay to share it, but technically that's how you could do it. But yeah, it's on there along with the actual film, the Once and Always film, is on there as well. For anybody who is a big fan of Tubi, you'll be able to see almost everything else.
Yeah, they do reference Once and Always relatively.
So it's canon with it. Like all of that is canon, I guess.
Yes.
So, okay. All right. Yeah. So shout out to Power Rangers. I'm still going to prepare a nerd episode, or at least a segment in one of the episodes going forward at the very end of the episode, where I kind of just go over like each and every Megazord that's out there. I'm gonna try to get all their names right, just to record it, just for record's sake, because I'm still a huge fan of all of that. Anything Power Rangers related that I have, I guess now maybe I could just mention. I'm still not too much of a fan of how Hasbro Pulse is running their business, but I did buy some stuff. I was able to get the Master Morpher, and I was able to get their Omega Ranger set, which was like 4-in-1 that they had recently put out. I still don't agree with how they handle some of the stuff, because some of that is already sold out again, and then nobody else can get it. And it's like, I know from experience in the past, if you didn't get it, you might not get it for a year, if at all. And so that's something I don't really like, but we'll see if they start making it more available. But I think as of right now, the Master Morpher especially, which I really like, is sold out. But yeah, so that's it for the Power Rangers segment. We'll return on that in the future. I didn't think this was going to hit hour and a half, but I got one last quick segment. I did not make this last on purpose, but I think it would be interesting to get my co-host's reaction to this. That was some news that probably should have been like 2-3 weeks ago as well. But apparently, Saints Row, we're going to talk about Saints Row for a split second, but it came out. I don't know if my co-host is ready for this, but Saints Row initially was actually supposed to be a sequel to Saints Row 4 and feature all the old characters from Saints Row 4 and stuff like that. It was not supposed to be a reboot. It was not supposed to have all that woke stuff and everything that everybody complained about. It was literally was supposed to be continuation, and at some point they said, no, let's go this direction. And so, yeah, I found that out.
And look at what happened. They failed.
Yeah,
they destroyed their own game for being stupid. There you go.
Yeah. So that was a thing.
That's on them. That's what they get. That's true.
That's what they get.
Like, that's what they get. Like, you decided to be stupid, and there you go. Like, that's what happened.
Yeah. So we were a fan of some of the quirky stuff. I know, like, the original fans are, like, divided. Some people are like, they like the serious stuff from the first two games. Some people like the quirkiness from the last two games. But
and
overall,
nobody liked the most recent one.
Yeah, I think, overall, I think everybody can agree they didn't like the most recent. The most recent hasn't been delisted. Almost everything else has been delisted nowadays, but you can still go buy this. You can buy it very cheap.
Not only was it not delisted, it was the game given away to justify PlayStation's price increase.
Yeah, I think, no, the opposite happened. The studio shut down, though. So maybe you could argue that's worse. The studio shut down, though. And we didn't really get an update on that. We don't know if they all were just moved around. Because I know with Forspoken, when they shut down, we were told immediately that they were reabsorbed into Square Enix. We were not informed that they were reabsorbed into Embracer. And then at the same time, it's still under the same umbrella. Epic had laid off some people too, that we talked about, I think last week or the week before. But yeah, just as far as the game, I think this news is about a month old. It was something I forgot to make mention of, but I don't know how they would have done a sequel to 4, but they probably would have come up with some quirky way. But yes, it was supposed to have, for anybody who is familiar, they mentioned Johnny Gat. They mentioned, I forgot the white girl with the glasses. They mentioned her. They mentioned the names. They was just like, it was supposed to actually have these people. And I was like, yo, like, okay.
Dang.
And so, yeah, it would have been Saints Row 5, and it would have been a Saints Row game. Now, if it was going to be a sequel to 4, that probably confirms that it might have been more goofy still. Depending on how you look at it, the Saints Row remake thing or whatever was kind of goofy in itself anyway. But it was like not supposed to be on purpose, I guess, but it kind of was. But yeah, that was it. That was it for that. So I think that's all I got for this episode. It's still kind of brief. We're still just under an hour and a half. And I think we're going to cut it there. Any last words from my co-hosts?
Remember to stay hydrated.
Yeah. Enjoy the weekend. I'm about to go get into some Remnant 2, some more hard bosses. We will catch you on the next episode. And yes, have a great one.